Alright everybody, welcome back. Got something great for you today, and whole entire new class of wizard. Now this wasn't something I come up with on my own right here. This is something that was found back in what's called the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons or second edition rules, and for some reason it just sort of disappeared after that. Now if you look in 5e under wizard, there's an illusion pathway, one of the pathways a wizard can take. But it's got nothing to do with this right here. This is something entirely separate. And this was a great subclass of wizard. Why it ever disappeared, I don't have a clue. And not only did the sub-wizard class disappear, but all the spells that went with it. So there's a lot to see here. Hope you'll take a look at this, and hopefully you'll want to use it. Now right up here at the top, I just typed up something right out of the old Advanced Dungeons and Dragons book, published in 1978. So here they wrote in 78. Illusionists form a subclass of wizards, and in most respects they conform to the characteristics of the latter. So you're going to think of them as a wizard. To be an illusionist, now look at these requirements. A character must have a minimum intelligence of 15 and a minimum dexterity of 16. A high manual dexterity is required in casting of the spells used by this class. Now, as DM, I'd probably drop those to a 13 right there, but of course you do anything you want. While being equal or even slightly inferior to normal magic users in most respects, illusionists have different and highly effective spells to employ. They got some great spells. A perusal of the number and types of spells usable by illusionists will reveal that they're at least as powerful as normal magic users and possibly slightly more potent at very high levels. Actually, I always found that illusionists tend to be more powerful than wizards at low levels, but then weaker at the higher ones. So you can see what you think. Now, really all I got from the advanced rules was just the spell slots per level over here. And to modify this more to something 5th edition, I added over here a column with levels 1 through 20. Their proficiency bonus I thought would go with each level. And we're going to look at all these features plus a whole lot more that they gain along the way. Now, when the illusionists first come out, there were no cantrips. That was something added years later by Gary Gygax in a book called Unearthed Arcana. We're going to take a look at that too. So here's your basic table you'd expect to see right there at the beginning in 5th edition rules for any character. We're going to go over all this right there. So looking at basic class features, they get a D6 for their hit dice. Initially, they got a D4. Wizards and illusionists were so weak and fragile back originally, it was horrible. I mean, D6s are bad enough right there. So this is just what you would expect. Proficiencies, none with armor, and just a few weapons, as you would think. And with that high dexterity, they'll probably like the light crossbow of these options. No tools, and their saving throws will be primarily based on intelligence and dexterity, because those are the two key abilities they've got to have. Skills, they'll choose 2 from acrobatics, arcana, history, investigation, nature, religion, and stealth. Equipment, of course, they're going to need a spell book. They'll get a weapon of their choice from what's listed above, a component pouch or an arcane focus, and then a scholar's pack or explorer's pack. Of course, for spell casting, they're going to need their spell book, which they'll get. And cantrips, at first level, they know 2. So we'll look at the list of those further along. May not have ever seen any of them. They'll start with 2. In the beginning, at first level, their spell book will have 6 first level spells. They get 2 slots, but at least they get 6 spells to choose from. Their spell casting ability will be based on intelligence, just as you would think, since they're a subclass of wizard. So the spell save DC is basic, 8 plus their proficiency bonus plus their intelligence modifier, and the spell attack modifier will be the proficiency bonus and the intelligence modifier. They'll have ritual casting. Now, originally there was no ritual casting back with advanced rules. So I did add ritual casting to some of the spells on their list. We're going to see which ones those are further along. They'll have a spell casting focus, and I also gave them arcane recovery. That is something that the wizard has. This didn't exist originally, so I added this. They'll help them get back a few spell slots there. So let's see. At level 1, of course, they get the ability to start casting spells. Again, they'll get just a couple of first level spells and a few cantrips. At the 2nd level, the illusionist gets to choose from one of the illusionist traditions. In other words, particular paths they can follow. Lets them specialize in an area of magic. We're going to look at those pathways here in just a second. At the third level, they get a +2 bonus to any save versus an illusion. So it gets difficult to fool them with an illusion since that's what they specialize in. At the fourth level, an ability score improvement is gained. These are the ability score improvements you see everywhere in 5e, nothing different. At the fifth level, something from the chosen illusionist tradition will be granted. So once they've picked this pathway, different levels are going to grant them something different. We're going to see what that is here in a second. At the sixth level, the illusionist gains a +1 to their spell attack modifier. The reason being the illusionist gains their spell levels a little slower than a wizard. So to make up for that and sort of keep it equal, I gave them this +1 to their spell attack modifier. Kind of balances out a bit, I think. Now level 7 is a big one for them right here. The illusionist will gain evasion, just like a rogue. When you're subjected to an effect that allows you to make a dexterity saving throw to take only half damage, you instead take no damage if you succeed on the saving throw, and only half if you fail. The high dexterity requirement of this class allows for this. Look, originally they had to have at least a 16 dexterity, had a 15 intelligence, and could not wear armor. Yeah, and I like this right here for them. The casters are like this wizard and such are just historically so fragile. I thought they deserved evasion. It was something they definitely could have. So I think that's a good addition to them. At the 8th level, the illusionist gains another ability score improvement. At 9, they'll get something from the pathway which they've chosen. At 10th level, instead of a +2, they're going to get a +4 bonus to any save versus an illusion. At the 12th level, they get another ability score improvement. And then at 13, they'll get something from the illusionist tradition, which is the pathway they've taken. At 14th level, instead of +1, they get a +2 to their spell attack modifier. So again, that doesn't stack with the one gained at 6. That's just 2 total. At the 15th level, they get arcane asset. Now what this does right here is lets the illusionist pick any spell from the wizard spell list of level 7 or lower. So give them a little bit more versatility. They get a big, huge list to choose from. Just picking one of them, I think that's a good idea. At level 16 and 19, they get another ability score improvement. And then at level 20, they'll all get something very special here called Illusion Master. Now, 2 things are granted to them at level 20. First, they are totally immune to all illusions, so you cannot fool them with an illusion. No need for them to even roll a saving throw. They're going to see right through it. In addition, they get one other thing. Once per long rest, they can require an opponent or opponents to make 2 saving throws against the same spell to make their save against it. So in other words, when an illusionist casts a spell, say it has an area of effect, or maybe it's just one individual, either way, any one or more individuals affected by that spell must make 2 consecutive saves, not just one. And again, that's not really overpowered because it's only be used once per long rest, so it's very limited. So they're going to want to save that for the big boss or something that's very tough. Ability score improvements, as you would think, they're going to get them at levels 4, 8, 12, 16, and 19. And as always, they can increase one ability score by 2, or 2 of them by 1, as long as they don't take it over 20. Now we're going to look at these illusionist traditions. So at 2nd level, they get to choose one of these traditions, and it's going to shape their practice. It's going to give them something special. They're going to get an expanded spell list with each, and then some special feature granted to them at levels 2, 5, 9, and 13. So look at the first tradition I've come up with right here, Defender Illusionist. So this one specializes in preventing damage to itself and allies. So the first thing they get is an expanded spell list. Now remember, the Illusionist starts this at level 2. Well, here's some level 1 spells. So these are level 1 spells. They've already got some, and this will add to it. So at the 2nd level Illusionist, they get to pick up Shield and Featherfall. When they get to 3rd level, they pick up Web and Nistral's Magic Aura. At level 5, they get Counter Spell and Magic Circle. At 8, Fire Shield and Stone Skin. At 10, Seeming and Wall of Force. And of course, as DM, you want to modify that in any way, maybe for a particular campaign, maybe it's water or something else, modify that away. Now, what else do they get? At level 2, they get something called Haze Allies. Starting at second level, you gain the ability to cast a spell, which will give a hazy appearance to all allies in a 10-foot radius. If you want to adjust that radius size or to a number of characters, you go right ahead, whatever you like. The hazy appearance will slightly distort the appearance of the individuals and make them more difficult to hit. This spell will give a +1 bonus to the armor class of all allies in that 10-foot radius. Spell requires 1 action to cast. That's what you'll have to do with all these old spells. They didn't have actions then. Just give them 1 action. And it'll last for 1 round per 3 levels of the caster. Concentration is required for the duration, and they can use this once per short or long rest. So that'll give a little temporary bonus to armor class. Again, during a big fight, that's when you'd want to use it right there. At level 5, they'll get clear vision. Here you gain the ability to cast a spell which gives all allies in a 10-foot radius +1 on their next to hit roll, whether they're using a weapon, a spell, or whatever. The spell takes 1 round to cast and gives the bonus once to each ally in that radius, so just once there. This bonus increases by 1 for every 4 levels of Illusionist. Again, can only be used once per short or long rest, so it's a very short temporary thing. Level 9, True Aura. Now those within the 10-foot radius get a +1 to their saves. And again, it gets better as the Illusionist goes up in level, but again, only usable once per short or long rest. So some great extras gained, and of course they're limited. Level 13, Great Concentration. You gain the ability to cast any illusion spell with a +4 added to the spell attack modifier. So look at that. Take any spell plus any other bonuses you have and add this +4. Again, against a big enemy where it's very important, you'll want to use this right here if you're level 13 or greater. And again, just usable once with a short or long rest. Level 15 and 20. At these 2 levels, we see something that's common to all illusionists. I just put them with this path, that way they're just not forgotten, okay? So at level 15, all illusionists will get the ability to pick from the wizard spell list 1 spell that's level 7 or lower. So it gives them a little versatility. Get to choose 1 wizard spell, any one level 7 or lower, right there. Then look what they get at Illusion Master at level 20. 2 things. First, total immunity to all illusions. You're not going to fool an Illusion Master once they hit level 20 with an illusion. They see right through all of them. Look at the second thing they get. Once per long rest, they can require an opponent or opponents to make 2 saving throws against the same spell to make their save against it. So let's say an illusionist at level 20 casts a spell and there's 1 or more enemies in it. Every one of them must make 2 consecutive saves. So that's going to make it more difficult to resist that illusion, whatever it may be. Again, save it for the big boss right there. Next we have Divine Illusionist, where they start to pick up some cleric-like abilities. And as DM, I would have this illusionist pick a deity from one of the books and not be as strict required to do and not do certain things as a cleric, but along the same lines. As DM, you do what you think is best. So notice they have a different expanded spell list, which they'll pick up at level 2. So they're going to pick up a couple of first level spells, Healing Word and Protection from Evil and Good. Then at 3rd level, they'll get Aid and Enhance Ability. 5th, Magic Circle and Spirit Guardians. 8th, Guardian of Faith and Stone Shape. And 10th, Flame Strike and Geas. Again, as DM, if you want to modify that, you go right ahead. Now, what else do they get? At 2nd level, the ability to cast the Bless spell once per short rest. At 5th level, they can remove 1 disease from 1 individual per short rest. At 9th, the ability to remove a curse. And then at level 13, they can cast Death Ward. So some nice little extras when you look at all that together. And then again, like any other illusionist, at 15, they get that extra wizard spell. And at 20, once again, they are immune to illusions, and they can make an opponent save twice. Same as before, just put it in there, that way it's not forgotten. Then next here, number 3, we have the Conjuring Illusionist. Now look at their spell list. At second level, they get Unseen Servant and Fog Cloud. Third, Summon Beast and Web. Fifth, Conjure Animals and Conjure Barrage. Eighth, Black Tentacles and Summon Construct. 10th, Cloud Kill and Teleportation Circle. So what else do they get at these other levels? At level 2, they get Find Familiar. What wizard or caster doesn't want that right there? Great to have. At level 5, they're going to get the Summon Phase spell. Same as the 3rd level wizard spell. At level 9, they get Summon Elemental. Same as the 5th level wizard spell. At level 13, they can cast the spell Simulacrum, making a duplicate of themselves. And then, as always, at 15, they get to choose that extra wizard spell, and then the Illusion Master stuff at 20. Then next here we have Necrotic Illusionist, right? So it gets off with the undead stuff here more. So when you look at their expanded spell list, they're going to start with Cause Fear and False Life. Level 3, they're going to get Blindness, Deafness, Ray of Enfeeblement. At 5th, Animate Dead and Bestow Curse. 8th, Blight and Speak with Dead. And 10th, Contagion and Create Undead. Now, also in addition to that, they get something extra at level 2. They can cast Ray of Sickness. At level 5, Vampiric Touch. Level 9, Innervation. And level 13, Finger of Death. That's a favorite right there. And then, of course, the usual stuff at 15 and 20. Nothing different about that right there. So there's the same stuff right there at the end, but that's the different pathways in which they could take. So look over those. You want to add some new ones or modify them? Have fun with it. It's what D&D is all about. Use your imagination, come up with what you will enjoy. Now let's look at these Illusionist spells. Now some of these are from the wizard list and others, and you'll have heard of them. And then others, you probably haven't heard of them at all, unless you've been playing this game like I have for decades. Now when you look at these Illusionist spells, they come from two places. The Player's Handbook, that's the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons version, and then something called Unearthed Arcana, which was an expansion of that Player's Handbook. So out beside each spell, I put here the little abbreviations so you can see where they came from. Now, cantrips, I don't think even existed until this Unearthed Arcana came out. That's the first place I remember seeing them. So that's where you'll find these right here. Look at the first level spells. I got 16 of them. Got a great set of options. Phantasmal Force is the bread and butter of this class. Phantom Armor, you're going to see, will give your caster armor class 18. Then at higher levels, they're going to have all this other stuff added to it, like the evasion. Man, these guys are going to be much more survivable. It's just great to have. Look at level 2 right here. See, a lot of this you recognize, like Blur. Those are all good ones right there. Ultravision you may not have heard of before. But look at, they got 16 second level spells. They've got 16 third level. They've got 12 fourth, 12 fifth, 12 sixth, and then 8 7th level spells. And that Alter Reality is about like a wish spell. That's the ultimate that these illusionists really want to get. So we're going to look at all these. I know some of these you may not have heard of. Don't worry about it. I got the pages from the books. We're going to take a look at them. When you think about some recommended races, of course, a lot of things would work. But think about high elves having +2 to dex and 1 to intelligence, and forest gnomes having +2 intelligence and +1 dexterity. Those would probably be some of your better choices if you want to play Illusionist. And think about multi-classing. How about going with Rogue, right? Since intelligence and dex are what they need, probably some fun options there. All right, so that gives you the basics. Now again, here's where most of these spells come from. One of the old first original player handbooks. I've got one sitting right here beside me. This is a photocopy of the cover. And this thing right here was printed in 1978. It's still in great shape. And as you can see, the artwork has always been great. I love, I think it's the best picture they ever had in D&D was this one right here. And that's an old one. So right here is what you had in this original player's handbook. And I want you to see, I think you're going to be amazed at how brief they were on stuff. And look at how little they have about the Illusionist. So if we move this over right here, you click somewhere, get that off, there we go. You can see the pages have kind of yellowed over the years. But down here, look at this. They gave you a little bit on the Illusionist there. And then over here right beside it, you had this little bit here with the XP, the levels. I love the way they gave titles to all the levels of the classes way back. We need to bring these back right here. And there's where I got their spell levels from. So look at that. There was hardly anything on the Illusionist there. So after that, the only other thing they had were the spells. So here in the player's handbook, they start with first level because there weren't any cantrips at that time. But some of these, again, you know. There's Audible Glamour, there's Change Self, and I'm not going to read all these. It'd take way too long to do all that. Up here is Color Spray, Dancing Lights, Darkness, Detect Illusion, Detect Invisibility, and Gaze Reflection. If we go on from there, level 1, they got Hypnotism, Light, Phantasmal Force. Your imagination is the only thing that limits that spell. Come up on opponent, some kind of enemy, make them see a pit dropping out under their feet with spikes at the bottom. Maybe the top of a cavern falls on their head. I generally have like 1d6 of damage per level of the Illusionist is how much damage this spell will do. And again, they just come up with anything they want pretty much since it's a phantasmal force. That's a great spell to have there. And then there's Wall of Fog. So look at second level spells, blindness and blur. Of course, blur is always a great one right there for defense. Then they had deafness, detect magic, fog cloud, hypnotic pattern is a good one. There's improved phantasmal force. So it's going to get a little bit better as the caster goes up in level there. Invisibility, magic mouth is always a fun one. Mirror image, misdirection, ventriloquism. Then they moved to third level spells, continual darkness, continual light. We used to always use this one and cast it on something like a sword blade. Sheath it, you got total darkness, pull it out of the sheath, and you had your light when you were fighting right there. Notice it's got a permanent duration on it right there. After that's Dispel Illusion, Fear, Hallucinatory Terrain, Illusionary Script, Invisibility 10-foot radius, and then Non-Detection. After that, Paralyzation, Rope Trick, Spectral Force, and Suggestion. All good spells. Then they move to level 4. Confusion, Dispel Exhaustion. Back up here at the top. Emotion. And one thing about these old spells, they often gave you more versatility. Like look at the options just under emotion right there. You might even come up with some other ones to add to it. Improved invisibility and mass morph. Look at that. Take the party and make them look like trees and let an enemy walk right by you. Then attack behind them with surprise. Minor creation. Create just about any kind of small non-living object. Phantasmal Killer. Great instant death spell right there. You're going to love this one. Notice too how they had the modifiers at the time. Like whether you had surprise, I would definitely still leave these in the game and give it to them right there. I like the way they do this. Then there's shadow monsters. You can create monsters which are actually weaker than the real form. But you'll see as you go up in level, you get other spells which make those more powerful. 5th level, you get chaos. Demi-shadow monsters, notice gives you monsters with 40% hit points and damage, where you had 20% over here with the shadow monsters. So again, that's how they get more powerful. Then there's major creation, then there's maze right there. Moving on, projected image, shadow door, shadow magic, summon shadow, and then you get to 6th level spells. Conjure animals, demi-shadow magic. Look at this right here. You can take this spell and make it a wall of fire, wall of ice, cloud kill, magic missile, fireball, whatever. Again, the Illusionists have such versatility. It's amazing. Then they have mass suggestion, permanent illusion, programmed illusion, shades, true sight, and veil. Veil right there, I should say. Excuse me. 7th level, alter reality. Now again, that there's about like a wish spell. This is the ultimate for the Illusionist. Then you got astral spell, prismatic spray, prismatic wall, vision. And I also thought it was odd that once Illusionists got level 7 spells, they could pick up 4 first level wizard spells. Again, they called them magic user at the time, but they pick up 4 of them, and then for every level the Illusionist advances, they pick up another one. So by level 20, they're going to have a whole bunch of first level wizard spells. So right after that, right, that was the player's handbook. This was the expansion Gygax came out with right here called Unearthed Arcana. And it added to, kind of like how Tasha's is adding to the 5e rules and such. That's what this did right here. So look at these. There at the beginning, there they are right over here, the cantrips. Again, this is, I believe, the first place they appeared. There's colored lights. And then after that, well, they got dim. And again, you can read the description on these if you want. There's haze, mask, mirage, noise, all some little cantrips there. Then you got rainbow, a 2D illusion, the very first basic one. First level spells they added, one chromatic orb. And look at the versatility with this chromatic orb. As the illusionist goes higher and higher in levels, look at that. So does the damage and also the added effects. Look at, you can make creatures blind, paralyzed, petrified, or even dead by level 12. Great spell there. Phantom armor. Look at this. Gives your caster plate mail. Until something tries to even disbelieve it, they've got it. It's going to be permanent. They're going to have an incredible armor class. That's something they should have come up with all along to give to the casters. Read Illusionist Magic, Spook, then second level spells are Alter Self and Fascinate. Reading on from there, what else we got? Ultra Vision. If you're not familiar with this, basically it lets you see at night as if it was daytime. Everything's sort of being black and white, but you could see a long distance. Then there's Whispering Wind there. Right over here, Delude, starting your third level spells. Phantom Steed's a cool one because the higher the illusionist goes, the more that steed can do. Eventually, they can fly through the air like a Pegasus. Then there's Phantom Wind, another third level. There's Wraith Form. Makes undead think you're something like a powerful lich and lets you pass through tiny holes, even cracks. That's a great one there. Fourth level, Dispel Magic, Rainbow Pattern, Solid Fog. Back over here, they have Vacancy. Fifth level spells, Advanced Illusion and Dream. And continuing on with those, they got Magic Mirror, Tempest Fugit. Over here with sixth level spells, Death Fog. You can see all the details on it. Mislead and Phantasmagoria. Boy, that was a mouthful to say right there. And then another level 6, Mirage Arcane. And then over here, a couple of level 7 spells, Shadow Walk and Weird. So that's all the information available on Illusionist, which was a tiny amount, plus what I've added myself to bring it up to more 5e rules and such. So I hope you like the Illusionist. Look over all this. Change it and mod it any way you want. Let everybody play the Illusionist and try it out. Be a great new class with great new spells. Look at all the abilities they get. I think you're going to love it. Try it out and let me know what you think down below. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.